Hello world, welcome to the stream. This is Coding a Roguelike in C, the stream where we are building a classic ASCII roguelike from scratch using C. Alright, so we are, if you check our task list over here, we are finally getting into some of the more exciting parts of the development. We recently finished our monster generation and placement inside of the dungeon, and so the next thing up is combat. And so I wrote up some notes. I was thinking about it a little bit off stream, and I wrote up some notes. So just go through those quickly, kind of how we're going to integrate it into our gaming loop and the rest of our component system. So basically what we're going to do, we've got a movement cycle already. We check a player movement. If they hit a direction, we can tell if that direction is blocked. So if the move is blocked, then we're going to do another check and then see if what's blocking the player movement is in fact an NPC or something that can be destroyed in combat. So I think we're gonna add a check. We'll see what entity it is that's blocking the player, and then see if that entity has a I'm thinking a combat component, maybe a health component, because we may want to add at some point in the future the ability to destroy things that are not living, and so maybe they would have like having a crumbling wall that has a health component that you'd need to do a certain amount of damage to like, you know, remove it as an obstacle. So we may in fact look for a health component instead of combat. And so if we do find something that is that has one of those components, then we'll initiate the attack sequence. And then for our NPCs, our monsters, during their movement cycle, we're going to check and see if they're already a single space away from a target, then they're going to attack instead of moving. And then so let's start integrating that. Then we can go through the different. I've written up, you know, what it means to attack and what it means to deal damage and what it means for something to die. So let's get started on integrating that stuff in. It's in the game loop. So this is our game loop. And we've got our responses to the various key presses. And so right now we just check and see if the player can move. And if they can move, great, we calculate the movement, we update the position on screen and redraw the screen. And but we want to now add an else case to this where if they can't move, we want to do an additional check and figure out why they can't move. So this will now be So we're going to check and see what is blocking the movement. So we have a routine that will return to us the entities that are in a particular location. I think that's what we're going to want. Oh, right here. Get objects in position. This one. And it returns a list. So does it make sense to do, let's just check, we can move. Does it make sense to Yeah, let's just use that. We'll call it list blockers, and we're going to call this game objects at position, and we're going to send in the same it's this x and y that we calculated position. And so we're going to need a oh, you know what, the game, does it return the game object? Let's just double check what this thing does. I believe it returns the game object. It's game. Position. Just insert after. We're inserting object, which is a game object. Okay, so we're going to get back a list of game objects at that position. So what we want to do is we want to loop through that list and get the game object that is blocking us. Oops. Right. Got my loop all messed up, so it's while E. We're going to check E.data is going to be our game object. So I can do this data game. This data gives the elements data, yes. Just double check it. So we've got our game object, and then we want to check and see if it's got a health or maybe we should just worry about combat. Let's see what we've got in our combat. If you remember last stream, we added our our combat entity or component. Our combat component, and right now it just has an object ID and then an attack value and a defense value, and we'll probably enhance that a little bit more in this. BR Ampersand, howdy back to you. How's it going this evening? Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. I think in thinking about it off stream, I think we're going to have another chance to dodge. Gotta write a 20-page paper for Tuesday. So I see that you are procrastinating by watching Twitch. Is that there? You go. Nice. What's the paper on? I mean, unless your paper is on coding classic ASCII roguelikes in C, maybe that actually doing research, right? It's on your internship. That's cool. Are you a developer, or what type of internship did you have? Software engineering, that's cool. Yep, gotta write a paper to get everything signed and sealed and put away, get the credit. Hopefully that went well. Python, Django. That's cool. How do you Python and I've dabbled a little bit in Django. I've done a bunch of Python. I've also done a couple things. Lighter weight frameworks like Flask. But mainly I built a back-end system and API that was all in Python, actually running on Google App Engine, which is pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to get our game objects, and then we're going to look for... We're going to determine if there is a combat component of this particular object. So we will do combat... Call it combat component, and this will be get object game object get component. That's what we do. And we'll send it in our game object, and then looking at component combat type. And I just want to verify the turn case if. So object components is it's an array on our game object that contains references to components that are part of that object. So it's defined right here. It's a void star. And I just want to verify that we are initializing those two. Those should be null if game object update and create. So, okay, so we are nulling out. We're looping through all of our components and we're nulling them out. So we can do a test here. If this get component returns null, then we do not. Then that object does not have a. It's not combative. is so if we find something that is not null, we're going to set our blocker object. I guess we should set our blocker object to CC. No, we'll set it to our game object. And then what? I think we want to break out of the while loop. And so if we fall out of this loop, or once we fall out of this loop, we want to test and make sure that we actually have a blocker object. Because we could loop through everything and not find a blocking object with combat, in which case we're just gonna, we're not gonna move and we're not gonna initiate combat on anything. But if it's not null, then we are going to, what did we say? We're gonna attack. Let's do combat, attack, and we will send it, let's send it the attacker and the defender. So in this case, the attacker is the player, and the defender is our blocker object. And that might be enough at this point. We'll see if we need any other parameters. Alright, combat attack. So let's throw this, this will be in our, throw it in the game file for level management, movement. Go after our movement system. And we will have a game object that is our attacker, and a game object that is our defender. Sorry, it's not a void star, it's just a void. We're not returning anything from routine. Consult my notes real quick. Alright, so for our attack routine, we're going to do a, we're going to roll the dice to hit, in this case we're going to roll a random number between 0 and 99, I guess. And then we're going to apply the target's chance to dodge. So we're going to have to add a dodge statistic to the combat component. And we're going to check for hit, and then if there's a hit, we'll deal damage. Otherwise, we'll put in a to-do to log a UI message indicating that the defender dodged or the attack missed. So I'm just gonna, since I wrote these notes, these will now become our kind of guideline implementation. Just put these. comment. It'll be an I to hit roll is a random, and it's between 0 and 99. Hey, Goodster, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. A basic coding class in school, and I have no idea what I'm doing in there. I wouldn't worry about that too much. We were all there at some point, so I would say just keep plugging away if it's something that you're interested in. There's also a ton of online learning places to learn online, courses and how-tos, and dev streams on Twitch. So if it's something you're interested in pursuing, then don't get discouraged. Alright, so we're going to roll to hit, and then the next thing, we're going to apply the target's chance to dodge. Random is not uniform, even though people think it is. Yeah, I mean, it's not. When you get into the whole discussion of random numbers and what's truly random, it's definitely not. Hey, Goodster, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. If I was doing something like cryptography or something that really depended on true random number generation, I would be a little bit more concerned. But for things like dice rolls in like a game, I'm not super concerned that it's not absolutely random. It's random enough for our purposes. What is a roguelike game? That is a good question. Roguelikes have it's a type of game that has certain characteristics and properties. Basically, it started way back when there was a game called Rogue that came out. It was ASCII based, and it was all about exploring a dungeon. So there's aspects of D&D. And then other properties that roguelikes have are usually there's resource management involved, and making. Oftentimes they're turn-based, and it's about making tactical decisions based on weighing your resources in a given situation. Other properties of a roguelike are a lot of them feature permadeath, so when your character dies, it's dead for good. There's no resurrecting. I call this a classic ASCII roguelike because it's going to be built in the same vein as those original roguelike games that were character based. I can give you guys a quick demo. I think we have a buildable. Let's build real quick, and I'll show you where we're at so far. Yes, it builds. All right. So here is our game. So the other thing about most roguelikes is they do some form of procedural generation. So in this case, the dungeon we've already been through in previous streams. We built a dungeon generation routine that is randomized, and so it'll be different every time you play through. Hey, Fool's Duty, how's it going? Am I building this as a learning exercise, or is it meant to be a real roguelike game? Yes to both. I am building this as a learning exercise, both for myself and for anybody who's interested in watching the stream. They can learn along with me. But the scope of the project is limited, I want to say, because I wanted to have the project not be something that's going to take years of development. Rather, this will take weeks or months of development. So I have constrained some of the ideas and the premises behind the game. So we've got our random dungeon generation already put together. We randomly generate a level. We also randomly generate monsters and put those in that level. Right now we have a kobold chasing us. And as you can see, we've kind of limited the visibility, so there's field of view for our player character. You can see the shadows here that are he can't see around this corner, so there could be something lurking over here or over here. So we built that into the game already. And so right now we're working on the combat aspect of the game, because right now if I run into these kobolds and continue to hit like up or right, it's not going to do anything. I'm just stuck. So what we're working on today is if I were to hit the down key right now, I'm blocked by a kobold, but what I want to happen once we implement the combat system is hitting the down arrow would be initiating an attack against that kobold. So in this area down at the bottom, we're going to add a UI where there's a message, kind of like a scrolling message place. So it would say, like, you swing at the kobold, and then depending on what happens with the dice roll and the percentages, and you'll either hit or you'll miss, and then you'll do damage, and we'll check and see if that damage is enough to kill the monster, and if so, we'll display other messages to that effect. Also in UI, we're going to have the player stats, so you'll know where, what your attack strength is, how good your defense is, and then where your hit points or life stat is at. All that's coming. And we've got some goblins in this room too. So that is real quick overview of kind of the current state of the game. Now, the one thing that is also coming in the future is, right now there's just one dungeon level. So roguelikes typically feature stairways or passageways up and down. Typically you have to descend deeper and deeper into the dungeon, and things get harder as you get deeper and deeper into the dungeon. And then you have to retrieve some magical amulet or ring or something, and then make your way back out of the dungeon. So what we need to implement at some point in the future is the ability to move from level to level. Alright, so let's jump back into the code. We're writing out our attack routine. Yeah, so we're going to need to add a dodge property to our components, I think. And I think this is just going to be like a straight up percentage to dodge. So it'll be like, maybe we'll call it dodge modifier. This will be the percentage that is so if we're rolling, 0 to 100 or 0 to 99, maybe the modifier would make it, if the modifier were 20, maybe that would bring the range of a potential hit from 0 to 79, because you'd subtract the 20 from the 99, and then you have a smaller window of being able to hit. Wouldn't making game objects an array of 10k objects be too memory heavy? A dynamic array would be better. Yeah, I mean that's one of the trade-offs that that I made. If you look at the game objects, there's not really anything to them, so they're not that big, and I could certainly change it to a dynamic array in the future, but for the time being, I just have it built out as a static array. The components, individual component arrays themselves, you can see down here, these are all built out as dynamic lists. So I did decide to dynamically allocate memory for the various components, which can be beefier than the game object itself. A game object itself is really just an int that's an ID, and you know, a handful of pointers, so they aren't really that big. All right, so oh yes, we were adding our dodge. Percentage modifier. So if you have like a 20% chance to dodge, then we would subtract that percentage that attack is dodged. With memory and you know, data structure design, there's often a trade-off between you know, ease of use for that data object versus the, you know, possible memory constraints. In this case, having this as a static, having the game object be a static array simplifies some of the places that we're accessing the data in that structure. So I felt it was a reasonable trade-off. All right, so we got our roll to hit, and what we're going to do is determine our window. Let's see. Call it a hit window. Just make it 99 minus 99 minus our dodge modifier, and this be our defender. So we need a combat object. Call it def. And that will be game object get component. We'll hand it our defender game object, and the component that we're interested in is combat. And then we're going to pull the dodge modifier out of that. So if you look at this, if we could potentially have a dodge modifier that is negative, which means that the hit window would then expand beyond the 100, which is fine. It just means an automatic hit. So now we'll test and see if the target was hit. And should probably just go ahead and grab these two right at the top. Do combat. Type side.
You're the one who taught me love was not for everybody. However, starting to see this world.
Because we're going to need the attacker's combat stats as well.
Still gets darker. You see, it's just a simple symphony or a painting, whatever. It's a natural path.
So now we check to hit. So we do if our hit roll. We'll say if our hit roll is less than our hit.
In the midst of summer, it won't exist. This emptiness, it's just a blank slate.
Then we have a hit.
For pain to interfere. It's quite complex.
Hills.
What I know.
So I think we already said for our miss right now, we're just going to do to-do, show a message, stating that the attack missed. The attack was dodged. Yeah, oh, it's a miss. Maybe we'll vary the verbiage. Sometimes it'll be a dodge, sometimes it'll just be a, trip over your sword and you miss. Okay. So let's check our combat notes. If we have a hit, got them right here. If we have a hit, then we're going to deal some damage. So we'll do combat. Do deal damage. And what are we going to pass to that? Let's look at our notes. For dealing damage, we need to determine the total attack value, which will be base plus modifiers. The target's total defense, and then the target's HP becomes basically their HP minus the difference between the attack and the defense. So if the attacker's attack is 10 strength and the defense is a 5 defense, then the attack would do 5 hit points of damage. The 10 minus the 5. So there could be the case where the defense is higher than the attack, in which case, if you're going up against like a troll with super thick skin or something like that, and you're trying to hit it with a stick, you're not really going to do much damage. So let's see. Check for hit or deal damage. So what do we need to pass in there? Hold on one sec. I gotta take a phone call real quick. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Take a quick phone call. Alright, so what are we going to need for this deal damage? We are, I think, we'll send in the... let's send in the defending... we'll send in the defender. We're gonna have to send in a bunch of stuff. I wonder if we should just resolve it in this particular routine. Because we're gonna need the attacker, because the attacker may have other attack modifiers based on the weapons that they're using or the equipment that they're holding. Maybe we should make that a... I think we should add that to the combat component itself, so we don't have to do all that. Let's do I-32 attack modifier. And we will similarly have a defense modifier. So I'll just go ahead and add that in now. Based on items. These mistakes have no one else to blame. Said I could feel it when you left me here, left me here. Our emotions are one and the same. So if we've got the attack modifier and the defense modifier here, then we still need to send in the defender because we need their health, but we might just be able to send in let's send in the attacker. Defender again. I just want to make this combat deal damage a little bit more modular, so get rid of those comments because we implemented that stuff. So we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna grab references to the attack and the defense components, and we're also going to grab the health component. Yikes. And we're going to grab the health component of our defender. So maybe I'll just call this def health, just to be super clear. So total attack is going to be, we'll do I-32, total attack is going to be our the attack, and then plus the attack modifier. And total defense is going to be the defense base score plus the defense modifier. If total defense is greater than or equal to, really, total attack, then all of the damage is absorbed. Display a message to that effect. Show message about no damage dealt. Something like, oh, your attack has no effect, or some kind of text like that that indicates to the user that they're not using enough firepower, or they are too weak to be battling what they're trying to battle. Otherwise, we will do the def health. I think you just call it HP, and we'll subtract. Let's just double check the health. Current HP is what we call it. We'll subtract the difference between the total attack and the total defense values. And we'll check for death. We'll call it health. Check death. Death. And in this case, we're going to send it the defender. And I think that will do it for our... See, these routines are not, they're not very big in and of themselves, but when you combine them, they can become quite a complex system. So let me just double check. Total attack is that plus that. Total defense is base plus modifier. We've got a to-do. That's not going to compile. Let's make that a comment. There you go. And otherwise, we will subtract the current HP, and then we're going to do a health check for death. Let's verify that, check every so often that it builds. And it's just complaining that the health check death is an unresolved symbol. That's because we have not implemented that yet. How old am I? I am old enough to have been doing software development for about 25 years now. I'll leave it at that. So the last bit we have is our health routine. I don't think we have any other health routines yet. This might be our first. I think that makes sense. Yeah. And so if you noticed, I've been kind of I have the naming convention where the first part of the name of the function kind of corresponds to the subsystem. Hey, Gaming Outcasts, how's it going this evening? Thanks for explaining. Oh, that is part of the reason for me doing all of this is to help other people learn as I myself am kind of learning the various techniques that apply to the game development. I have not done a ton of game development in my career, so this is kind of a fun project for me, but also a learning exercise. Alright, and we call this health check death. Oh, no, just not what I wanted to do. Health check death, there it is. And it's going to take the game object that pertains to our, I'll just call it Go. It'll be the object to check. First semester programming student, trying to take in as much as I can. Well, it's kind of like sipping from the fire hose, I'll give you that much. But it's a lot of fun. And one thing about software development and programming in general is you will never stop learning. There's always new techniques and technologies and all of that to learn. So it's a lifelong learning journey. Best way to learn programming is to code. That's true. For the most part, I mean that's putting the rubber to the road definitely helps. But there are, I mean, different strokes for different folks. Some people learn better by reading and working through books. Other people by working through like online tutorials where they're actually writing the code themselves. Some by watching videos, either pre-recorded or live streamed. So, I mean, whatever works best for you. Alright, health check death. I've got some death notes here. And let's just paste those in right here. We are going to, and this is in the case of if we determine that the player has died. Which the check is pretty easy. You're just checking if their current hit points are 0 or less. So let's do that. So what we need to do first is grab the. I'm just gonna grab this line because we need to grab the health component for our given object. And we'll say if the current HP is less than or equal to 0. That is our death condition. Death. So, in the case of the player death, we're going to enter the... so first thing we need to check if the object that died is the player, because in that case we're going to enter the end game flow, which is undefined at this point, so we'll have a to-do there. But we're going to replace the visible appearance of the object, so we're going to replace the glyph, and then we're going to also move that to the lowest layer of our visibility. We kind of have a layering system for our rendering system. So we'll move it to the very lowest layer so that things can appear on top of it. In the case of like a monster, I'm thinking that if one monster dies and turns into a pile of bones, well, another monster can then move into its position. And so we want to change the physical component to not block movement or sight anymore. And then I'm going to add a timer to, I guess, the health, maybe? So we're going to add a timer somewhere that after a certain number of game turns, the object will be removed completely from world state and just disappear entirely. And so that's going to be a short period of time, maybe no more than 5 ticks, I would think. So we're going to do if it's player, then we've got a whole to do. Enter and else we're going to do the other stuff I was talking about. So what we're going to need is we're going to need the other components of this particular. So we're going to need visible, we're going to need physical. So we will grab the visibility component, and then we're going to grab the physical component also. Alright, so let's just kind of chunk these out here. Step 1, visibility. So we're going to change the glyph. I think it's called, is it Viz glyph? Might be redundant. It's just glyph. And we might change the foreground color, make it all red and bloody. I don't know. We can do that. Or maybe we make it kind of like a muted reddish color. So glyph and FG color. And in this case, we're going to set the glyph to the thing that kind of looks like a pile of bones, and it's the traditional roguelike death ASCII character, which is the %sign. And let's change the foreground color as well, and we will call this let's see, what's a good dark red color. Hex code, dark red, let's dark read. Ooh, here we go. How about like this one? Or we can just do 99 and a bunch of zeros. Let's do that. And then the last 2 bits are our alpha values, so those are FF. All Fs is the best red. Yes, yeah, but I think I'm going for something a little bit more muted because, you know, maybe our. I also, if we're drawing stuff on top of it, I don't want it to kind of dominate the stuff that's in that cell. We're going for muted death here. Alright, so for our physical component, our NPC was previously blocking both sight and movement. So we've got these 2 booleans, blocks movement and blocks sight. So we're going to clear both of those. Blocks movement is now false, and same for block site. And so the last bit of our kind of death handling is to set a timer for removing the object from world state. And maybe we could add it to movement, but that doesn't really make sense. Maybe just health. I don't know. Let's just pick a place to put it. So I'm just going to call its. We have another timer somewhere here. Oh, that's recovery rate. Ticks until next move. Let's do ticks. Until approval. Ticks until destroy. Just call it removal. This will be the countdown to removal from world state. Excuse me. So when that we will decrement this tick counter every time that there's a player turn. So that's a game turn, and then once that hits 0, we will remove that from we'll move that particular object from the world state. So let's go ahead and write a stub for that routine. And so if player move, that's going to move the ticks. So we'll do movement update, blah blah blah. We'll do object removal update. I'm going to leave that unimplemented for the moment so that the compiler will tell us that we have work to do. What we're also going to need is, I don't know if you noticed, it's back up at the top, our health component, so, wrong file, okay, our health component has a recovery rate, so every turn, or every tick, every game object that has a health component will recover some health. So we would need to add that recovery amount of recovery hit points each turn. We will obviously not add the recovery hit points to things that are designated dead. No zombies here. No coming back from the dead yet. At least not by something the game engine does. So let's do, let's call this health recover. Is there any other thing that we need to do every game turn? Combat doesn't have any. Do I have any notes here? Per hit. I we're good. All right. Let's see. Maybe I'll just stub out those functions so that we can build and see what happens. So I'm going to write a quick to-do here. In this case, when we do recover, we're going to loop through all our health components and apply recovery HP, but only if object is not dead, already dead. And then we'll grab the object removal update. So we'll just call this is part of our health system, so let's call it health removal update. In this case, we will loop through all our health components again, and remove any objects that need it. Have been dead for a while, and then we're also going to decrement counters for newly dead objects. Let's build. And let's see. Our player is undeclared identifier. 7, 4. What did we call it? Did we not call it player? Player, but it's not a global. Is my player not a global? Sworn it's global. Seriously, is my player not globally accessible? Excuse me. Chicken Joe, bro, what's up? Everyone codes in C#. I want to see some Java, because that's what I'm learning right now. Excuse me. You know what? Quite honestly, C# and Java don't differ that much in syntax. Really, it's the... Although, I guess that's not the case any longer. It used to be the case that they didn't differ very much, other than the frameworks and the libraries that they depended on. Excuse me. Do I know C++? Yes. I coded C++. My first job out of college, I did C++ development in the financial industry. But that was a long time ago, so I have not kept up with the later standard changes. But I do know C++. So where's my player? Something in my throat. Game object player. Oh, it's not. Okay, we're gonna fix that. We're trying to learn Java, but you have no programming ideas. Any tips on coming up with something? Well, if you're looking for like projects to work on that will help you learn Java, there's a couple things you can do. Basically, it's what interests you. Because I find that the best motivation is to build something that you're interested in and that you have a vested interest in using. So basically, scratch your own itch. If there's some kind of software or something that out there in the world that you feel is missing, or that you say, man, I wish this kind of software existed, or I wish that this particular software, there was a better alternative to this. Well, go ahead and build that. Make an I was gonna say, B Amber said, yeah, make an Android app. If I don't know if you have an Android device, but if so, write a simple app that you think is cool or useful for your particular needs. And that will help you learn some Java as well. So, basically, make sure you're building something that interests you, because that will help with staying motivated and seeing it through to, completion. I'm gonna promote this player object to world state because I need it to be at the world state. But I will create it in the other place. What does global variable do? It's just a... I just defined it to... it's right here. It's just an alias for static. With C, there's 3 different meanings for the static keyword, so I added some definitions here that kind of better describe what that particular version of static is doing. Basically, it's just a static variable in the file. You don't know all that much in the way of Java, but you just made a calculator. Hey, you know what? We all start somewhere, and complete one project successfully, and then move on to the next. That's the way that's the way you learn. Now you have to come up with something else to make. Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, just find something you're interested in. But yeah, just think about it and see what you might what you might want to work on, and then yeah, gradually increase the size of the program you're building too. Ampersand, I thought all global variables were static. No, actually, that's not the case. So when you declare static, oh, I need to hide my console. Sorry. When you declare static outside of a function, like in a file or something, it's basically making it private to that compilation unit. So it hides it from other compilation units. If you compile your program as a as separate compilation units that are then linked together via the linker, declaring a variable static would hide, it would make it only visible to that single unit, and it would be invisible to those other compilation units. This particular case, I'm currently building the application as a single compilation unit, which means before it's compiled, all of the source code basically gets mashed together into one giant file, one single unit to compile, and it compiles it in one fell swoop. So in this particular case, static variables are global because they are visible to everything in the game, but only because it's a single compilation unit built. If I were to sometime down the road change that and build it, break things up and do header files and compile several different units and then link them together, then that would break my current implementation. I need to go back through and declare extern variables so that they would be externally visible to other compilation units. But for the sake of the discussion as it pertains to this particular game and build style, global variable and static are synonymous. So that's why I declared it that way. Alright, so we're making our player global. And, I shouldn't have, because I still have work to do. Let's see. Are we building? Yes, we are. Are we... What financial company did you work at? Was it a high-frequency trading job? No, it was not. It was a portfolio analysis job. So we would basically run our own proprietary analysis programs against the portfolios of hedge funds or large corporations, banks, that sort of thing, and basically evaluate how good or bad a particular portfolio manager was doing in managing the portfolio. Was this before the 01 crash? Yes, it was. Okay, let's see. Let's do some combat, huh? If I can get underneath this. Okay, so now I think if I can get underneath this guy, which I did, I'm pretty sure that we initiate combat. We're only initiating it on a movement of up. Let me just verify that. Yep. So I'm gonna try and hit. Surprised you still have all your hair after wearing a fight match. It was pretty. It was a good group of folks. It was a very small company. Alright. Oh, look at that. I got a kill right off the bat. So, that's pretty cool. I did a one swing, one attack, and it looks like I did kill the kobold, because now he's turned into a muted red pile of bones. So I'm going to move around for a couple turns. Oh, did I set the timer? I never actually set the timer. And we didn't implement those. But so the combat works. Let's go and implement the rest of those routines. Kazooie, how's it going, man? You're having a good evening. How's the coding going? I just started a roguelike project as well. Maybe you can get some inspiration. Yeah, hey. Hopefully I can inspire others to build roguelikes or pursue projects that they're interested in. Attempt at GMAC when GM went under, doing portfolio management stuff. Yeah, there's lots of war stories out there. Thankfully, I don't really have too many of those war stories from that particular industry. Other industries, yes, there are war stories. Brother's doing a roguelike right now. That's cool. Is he doing a graphical roguelike or classic ASCII roguelike like this one? Most of the roguelikes these days are where they borrow aspects from the classics, but they're built graphical with tile sets. The cool thing about this game actually is the way that I've built the rendering engine. At the end of the when all is said and done, it's rendering ASCII characters to the screen, but it's actually rendering them as bitmaps. So theoretically, if I felt like it, I could replace all of those ASCII bitmaps with a tile set and basically just include that resource instead of my font map, and I would have a graphical roguelike as well. That's cool. Maybe ASCII. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of people building roguelikes that have an ASCII and a graphical mode as well, which is kind of cool. So you could that allows the player to choose, hey, do I want to play this like true old school mode, or do I want to play it more like the do I want to have a little bit more graphical flair? But hey, yeah, glad to have you guys along for the ride. If you want to get notified the next time I stream, you go ahead and hit that follow button. Much appreciated. So there's a couple things we still need to do. The first of which is implement those stubbed out routines. Let's do that. So we got those 2 health routines. The first is the application of the recovery values. But these are both going to look very similar. So we're gonna start with the head of our list, and in this case, it's going to be our health comps. So this is a linked list of all of the health components in our world state. And we're going to loop through while our element does not, while it points to something relevant, so not null. And then our looping increment is e equals list. Next. Crying Tuna, I appreciate the follow. Thank you. Appreciate the follow very much. And I heard another jingle, but I'm not really sure what that was. David81, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Kazooie, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. That's what it was. And BR Ampersand, thank you for the follow. Alright, so we're going to loop through all of the health components in our world state, and we're going to apply the recovery HP value, but only if the object is not dead. So we're gonna do if. Oh, so first we need to grab the health component out of that. Out of the list element, yeah. So health H is going to be so we grab the health component out of that, and then we say if our current HP is greater than 0, then current HP, we get added to that our recovery rate. And then we do need to do one more check because we don't want to recover past our maximum HP. So we've got current HP, we've got a recovery rate, and then our max HP. So we don't want to recover past that. So we'll say if our neutral noise, thanks for the follow, I appreciate it. If our current HP is greater than our max HP, then we're going to go ahead and just bump the current HP down to our maximum HP. What format are you using for saving and seeds? That is an excellent and as of yet unanswered question. So if we look at our to-do list, I've got where the heck do I have saves? Oh, look at that. It's not till down here. Saving and restoring game state is a couple of to-do items down. We may move it up depending, but I just kind of laid out the major feature points that I wanted to hit and put them in an order that I thought was interesting. And so we're gonna run with that. But as of now, I'm thinking that we'll save. We'll persist to some sort of. I don't know if we want to do a text file. I think maybe initially we just want to save to a text file so that we can kind of read, open it in a text editor and verify that it's saving the state correctly. However, that leads to easy cheating by players, so we may end up, once we're comfortable with what we're saving, translating that into some sort of binary format that is a little bit more obscure and less hackable. Alright, so if our current HP is greater than our max HP, then we're going to set current HP to max HP. Okay, and then... So... Yeah, that should do it. We remove that to do, because it's now implemented. And then for the next stubbed out routine that we have, I'm going to borrow this loop because it's useful. At least the loopy part of it. And so now instead of checking to see whether we should apply some recovery HP, we are going to check and see if the, well, I guess we want to check two things. We want to make sure that current HP is less than or equal to 0, and then if that's the case, then we want to check our removal tick counter. So if current HP is less than or equal to 0, we're going to, I guess we could just do it all in one fell swoop, right? Ticks until removal is 0. No, well, I'm sorry, we don't want to do it in one fell swoop because we have an elf. Hey, Proton, how's it going this evening? We're going to make this an if, an internal if, or a nested if, because we actually have an else case for this one. So, if our current HP is less than or equal to 0, then we're dealing with a dead guy. So, in that case, we want to check if the ticks until removal is 0. Then we want to remove them, remove object, and all related components from world state. Otherwise, we're going to decrement our tick counter. Proton, you like C and Sublime, so double win, huh? And ice cream, nice. So this will be ticks until removal. We're gonna just subtract 1 from that. Remove. I believe we have this game object destroy. Yes. And in this case, it's going to take the game object, so I need to get the object associated with that component. Game object. Oh, that's where the... I want to make sure that this game object destroy is what I want. Game object destroy. It's going to remove all of the components. And it's going to set my object ID to unused, but I think also I am not... I need another thing here. I need this loop right here. I need to reset all of my component pointers to null. Let's do it down over. What does the arrow do, or the minus greater than sign? That is when you're accessing. So up here I've got these structs defined. So I've got like a position struct or whatever. And so if you are dealing with a variable that's allocated on the stack, which means that you're not doing malloc, you just declare like position p equals, you know, the static the struct initializer. You can use the dot to access these different parts of the struct. However, when you are accessing a struct via a pointer, which we are in that case, you would use the arrow to access the subvalues in that structure. Started with Python 3 and TDL. I'm really debating whether switching to a more low-level language while I'm not too deep in the development. My C++ could use some practice, and that would be a good opportunity. So, if the purpose of your project is to learn C++ and C++ coding techniques, then absolutely switch over to from Python to C++. However, if your goal is to ship a completed application and you're not particularly concerned with how that application is built, then I would say stick with Python and finish the project. At the end of the day, it's what are your goals for a given project. If my goals for this game were to ship it as quickly as possible and be able to add features super fast, I wouldn't do it in C. I would do it in a higher level language that I could be more productive in because I'm more familiar with that language. However, this project, as a specific goal for this project, I wanted to get closer to the metal, back down to the lower level memory management, and so that's why I chose C. What are the benefits of doing it in C then? Well, it's a learning exercise. So for me, so I wanted to get better at C. I wanted to learn more about modern C development, and at some point, if C is the language I'm most comfortable with, then I can certainly just bang out some quick codes in C and start doing larger projects in C. But if the important thing is getting the product built and finished, then use the language you're currently most comfortable with or most productive in. Alright, so we're doing our game object destroy, and I am looping through the components, making sure to null out all the pointers to the subcomponents for each object, or the given object in this case. Alright, so game object destroy. We need to... HWPL, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Just checking something real quick. Whoa. That's we're doing pretty well on the Twitch page, huh? So, okay. So in order to destroy that game object, I need to grab a reference to it, because right now I'm looping through my health components. And somebody earlier asked why our game objects themselves are allocated in a static array. And the reason is because that makes it very easy to trace from a component back up to its owning object. So let me show you. If we look at our health, and any other component for that matter, you'll see that the first item in each of our components is an object ID. That object ID is the index into the global game object array. So for our health, we're given a health object here. I'm sorry, I want to see, is that what did I declare that as? It's an I32. Okay, so it's a signed integer. I don't even need a variable for it. So we're gonna do destroy, and this is gonna be our game objects array. We're gonna index into that. It'll be H. Object ID. To destroy. So that will remove that particular game object and all its related components from the world state. So the one thing that we're not doing in our check death, I totally forgot this last step here, set the tick timer for removal from the world state. So we're gonna do 8 or H ticks until removal. Let's set it to like 5. Let's just set it to 5 for now. And now we can remove this stuff. This is implemented. That was just our implementation notes. And I can remove this to do because it's now implemented. Let's see, that to do is going to come later with UI. It's going to come later with UI. So the other thing we need to implement is our integration of the combat system. We only integrated it into the upward movement for the player, so we need to go ahead and do that for the other directions as well. The only thing here is we need to change the position that we're checking. I could probably simplify this later. This kind of feels like it can be simplified, but for now, let's just get her done. Oh, and I left my console up. I'm sorry, blocking a bunch of code here. Let's build game 782. Oh, got an extra paren in there still. $784. That is a. That's true. That is a statically allocated one, so it's not a pointer. Let me see what this takes. This takes a pointer, so we're going to need to send in a reference to our structure. Okay, build. We built. Let's run this thing and see what happens. See what explodes. Alright, we got our creatures, so let's do some combat. I'm gonna move down. Boom, it's dead. Okay, now let's see. It should disappear after 5 turns. So we got 1. Oh, it's moving. That's not cool. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now it's gone. but it moved. That's unexpected. So there's something that we also need to add to our death routine, unless we want corpses following us, which could be fun, but not really part of this game. What we need to do is remove the movement component from this guy. Do we have a remove component? Sorry, let me hide this thing so you can follow along. Yeah, The Walking Dead, exactly. Where's my game object state? Here we go. Game object get component. I want a game object remove component. Do I not have that? I could update the component to. I don't want to just update it to null. That won't work. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and add a game object remove component. Take the game object, and it will take the it'll take a game component type, which is the type to remove. Comp to So in that case, we're going to do object dot components for comp to remove. We're going to set that pointer to null, so removing it from the object. How long ago did I start this? Well, this is, in terms of stream count, this is stream number 23, I think. I started it in October, but I've been bad at streaming on a consistent schedule. I kind of started really well and was doing 3 streams a week or something, and then I went down to 1 stream a week and traveled a little bit. And so I'm trying to get back on a regular streaming schedule. But the 23 streams probably represent my average stream time is between an hour and 2 hours. So it's at this point it's probably about 40 to 50 hours of work of coding time spread out over 2 to 3 months at this point. But hopefully on a regular streaming schedule. Thinking maybe I'm a third of the way through, so hopefully finish sometime in the next 4 or 5 months if I stream on a once to twice a week basis at least. But in terms of hours in, it's probably only 40 to 50 hours of code so far. Okay, so I removed the link. Oh, did I run out of music? Man, I gotta up that playlist time. Just restart it. So, remove the link from the object to the component. Now I need to remove the component itself. So that's going to be done by removing. Let's see, list remove. What? My list routines. List remove takes the list and the element. That's not what I want. List remove element of data. That's what I want. I give it the data. And the list in this case is going to be, oh crap, which one is it going to be? Ben Halverson, hey, how's it going this evening? Welcome to the stream. So in this case, I need to determine which list I'm removing from, so I'm going to need a switch statement. I wonder if it's easier if I just add this to the update routine. It seems like I should just add this to an update so I can update it to null. This would so if comp data is null, I think it makes more sense to do it as part of the update. Because there's some extra logic in here for certain cases as well, like position, that I want to be able to account for. So we'll do if comp data is not null, then we're gonna do this. Otherwise, we're going to null it out. But we also need to remove it from our list. So this is where we would do the list element with data. element with data. So in this case, it would be the position comps. And data that we need is going to be bubble this down. Position. That. Just think this logic through. Remove it with the pause. Just add a quick comment. Hey Lamar, how's it going this evening? So in the case where we're sending in a null, we're going to clear it out from the object. We're going to grab a... I need to obviously do this in the opposite order because that's going to... Hey R Seth C, thanks for the follow, I appreciate it. Alright. Feel my brain slowing down. It's that time of the night, so I'm probably going to call it in a few minutes. Let's try and finish this up. People choose some game engine and do it. Yeah. The purpose of this project is kind of to code the game engine at least once through myself, and then I'll at least know what's going on to some extent under the hood of those various game engines, and appreciate how much they're doing for me. Sir Waffle Gaming, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. How are you doing this evening, Sir Waffle? Alright, so we're going to clear out the component. How are these other people talking to me? I'm actually, I'm also live streaming to livecoding.tv. I'm doing both Twitch and live coding. Craig Gary 07, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. RSC, thanks for the follow and welcome to the stream. Alright, so in the case of position, if we are given a null to clear out our position, we need to update our helper DS as well. Let's come back to position, because that's the most complicated of them. So we say if comp data is not equal to null, go through this whole rigmarole. Otherwise, we're going to let's just to grab this stuff, copy this. Why don't you just do not something rather than something equal null? It's I think it's for me at least. Again, this is you can do it either way. It's really more personal preference. So for me, this reads better, and it's also more. For me, this would be less bug prone because it's very easy for me to miss a single skinny exclamation point in front of a variable name, whereas if you spell it out equal null or not equal to null, it's more visible to me. Very interesting coding. I've been tinkering with HTML and CSS. Question is, how hard is it to learn? It's non-trivial, but it's not impossible. It depends what your coding goals are. Certain things are much harder than others, but it, if you've got if you can think logically, then I think that if you can think logically, or and you can challenge yourself to continue learning, then anybody can learn how to program. HTML and CSS is not a programming language per se, although CSS has kind of started to take on some aspects of scripting languages themselves, but it will put you in the mindset of thinking logically and laying things out, laying your data out in a particular format. So it's definitely applicable to. It's a good gateway into programming, I guess. Alright, so let's clear this component out. We are going to, in this case, we're dealing with the visibility. Is. This will be our visibility components, and we're going to have the object with this in it. So, and then we're going to set. I guess we can just do. Yeah, let's do that. It's fine. Visibility. We grab. That's wrong. It's the problem with copy pasta. You got to be very careful about replacing all of the context that needs to be replaced. All right, so we grab a reference to our visibility component. If it's not null already, we're going to remove it from the list, visibility components, and then we're going to clear it out of that object. So we're going to do the same thing for our other component types. So we're going to do it for. people seeing someone streaming C. Most people streaming game dev are using C#, Java, or a very class-heavy C++. Yes, and that's I'm a big fan of Twitch and other live streaming and live coding sites, and so I definitely saw that there was kind of a void, pardon the pun, of C programming going on. So live coding has tons of people using C. There seem to be a decent amount of people using C there. So yeah, you can check it out. I mean, yeah, there's a decent amount. There's not a ton of development streamers, in the big scheme of things anyway. But there seems to be a very few C programmers out there. Most people you see on stream do Unity or C# or even JavaScript development, and I think the reason for that is I think it may stream better because progress is a lot faster, and so you can actually see the game coming together a lot more quickly and more visibly in the case of Unity. Felipe Croce, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Do you need to have half-decent math skills to be a computer programmer? No, you do not. You do need to have a fairly logical mind. You need to be able to kind of lay things out, lay instructions out in a logical way. But in terms of math, you don't need to be good at math to be a good programmer. For certain types of programs, you absolutely have to be a good mathematician. Hey, Gun Games. Hey, how's it going? Long time no see. But yeah, if you're doing certain types of programming, you absolutely need the math. If you're doing other types of programming, you don't need it at all, really. Alright, so let's bang this out, and then I think once I finish this up, I'm going to call it a night, because this is... my brain is becoming mushy. Physical comps and more fizz from it. Yes, that should be good. Do a challenge of some sort and stream it? What, like Hacker Rank or one of those other sites? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like I've said many times before, I am by no means an expert C programmer. I'm still trying to figure out some of this stuff myself, so if you see I'm doing something stupid, let me know. Or suboptimal. Okay, Gary, don't get overwhelmed. Take it take it a step at a time. it can be, anything can be overwhelming if you see the you know, the, take it as a giant project whole. Nice. Thanks, Gun Games. Real programmers use malloc. Okay, so clear component. I'm doing movement. How's your game coming, Gun Games? You're still doing a zombie game, right? Yeah, I'll like to spell that stuff out. Oh, look at all these, so many components. I gotta come up with a better way to do this. Well, I didn't think about the removal case until now, but health H. Let's bang this out. Test it. Ah. Almost ready to launch a demo just to get people trying and get feedback. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yes, definitely send me a, drop me a line when you have that demo up somewhere. Drop, you know, send it. Drop me a line on Twitter or something, and like to check it out for sure. Yes, they do look very similar that I'm copy pasting. That's why I was saying I think that there's some optimization that can certainly be done. However, right now I'm just going to brute force it, and I will take a look at it in a bit when I have a clearer, when I'm a little bit more awake and fresher, and I'll figure out how to optimize this stuff, because yeah, whenever you find yourself repeating a bunch of code with slight differences, that's usually a good candidate for turning something into a function, or structuring your function a little bit differently. Yeah, exactly, something like that. What is this IDE? This is called Sublime Text. It's a text editor. A text editor extraordinaire, so you can, it's got plugins for doing all sorts of things, and it's pretty stinking powerful. So, and it runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux, so it's good. Combat. Okay, alright, so the whole reason that that's the last component. So the whole reason that we added the removal, if I can remember, is that in our health, we wanted to remove the movement component when we determined something was dead, because otherwise it was going to follow us around. So we are going to, we've got our game object, and we'll say, so game objects update component, we'll give it our game object, we will give it our component type, in this case it's component movement, and we're going to null it out. More moving for our dead people. Let's build and see what happens. Just complaining about line 263. Oh, I didn't come back and do this. So, yeah, definitely almost time to end streaming. So the position component has an additional wrinkle in that I built a helper data structure that will allow me to pull very quickly, get all of the game objects at a particular position on the map. So I need to address that here as well. So it's saying that pos data isn't it doesn't know about the variable because now it's inside my if loop. So maybe we'll just move this into, let's just move this up and have the one, just deal with it in our else as well. So in this case, we want to remove our go positions. So we've got it. We've got the removal right here. We want this bit. Not really sure what happened there. Get some key code. So we want to remove the game object from the position helper data structure as well. So we just want that bit. That should do it. All right, and we built. So I guess we should just run it and see what explodes. All right? Okay, so let's do some combat. Boom, goblin dead. Now, if I move, is it going to follow me? No, it's not. Is it going to disappear in a couple turns? Yes, it is. Oh, what happened? Both of them disappeared. RSETC, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out so far. But I'm unhappy with how it decided to remove both monsters from world state, so I'm not really sure what happened there. Rocky, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Hey, yeah, so if anybody's interested in playing with this or building on this game or using it as a base for their own game or their own learning or experimentation, all the source code for this game is on GitHub. It's at there should be a link right above my head, and on the end stream screen, which you'll see shortly, there's a link on there as well. So feel free to grab the latest repo from there and play along at home. I'm gonna look real quick and see if I can figure out why it added both monsters to my deletion. But I may end up taking it off stream for debugging. Licensed public domain or what? Yeah, I mean it's. I guess I didn't attach a license, but it's out there for people to play with and use and modify to their heart's content. I'm not going to commercialize this game itself, so. Let's look at some of those. This removal. Looping through all of my health components. I'm only removing, so I decrement. If current HP is greater than 0, then I don't do anything with it. How often do I stream? Every day? No. I would love that, but life doesn't allow for that. So I usually stream 2 to 3 times a week. So I stream as often as possible, but sometimes that's not so often. Rocky, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Kazooie, oh, okay. Thanks for telling me. I will add a license to the GitHub soon. Let's see, combat attack, deal damage. I'm only dealing damage to the defender. Well, Rocky, I'm glad that I can provide some inspiration. I wonder if somehow I'm looping through objects that move object and all remaining. Yeah, just jump in and give it a try. It's fun. Setting the criteria for deletion somewhere. Yeah, I mean, so the criteria for deletion is right here. It's if the current HP is less than or equal to 0 and ticks until removal is 0. I guess I should just change this to less than or equal to 0, just for safety purposes. But if I look at my monsters in their config, I am setting max HP, and then in the monster, let me just verify in my monster create that, yeah, good, if I'm initializing the hit points. I thought I was, but hey. Monster create? Is it monster add? I don't remember what I called it. Oh, it's NPC add. Current HP is set to max HP, so it should be getting set. That should be good. Just wondering if it's my recovery rate set at 1 for Kobold. It's just make sure those are positive numbers. 2, 1. Yeah, I think the next step is to kind of do something like that, print it, throw it in the debugger and see what happens. But I think I am going to, I think that I'm going to stare at this after a good night of sleep. So I'm going to make a note that I'm going to make a note to debug this, and then I will update you all next stream once I've figured out what's going on, or maybe if I don't have a chance to look at it, we'll start next stream with throwing this thing in a debugger and stepping in and trying to figure out what exactly is going on. But right now I can feel my brain is tired. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I think we had a productive stream this evening. We have most of our combat and our death handling a good ways down the road. So I'm happy with where we ended up. If you'd like to see previous streams, those are all available on YouTube at the link over here. If you have any questions or comments, you can hit me up on Twitter at PDCodes. And like I was saying before, the source code is on GitHub right there. So you can follow along at home. Default break may not need to exist unless you plan to put something in the default case. Okay. Thought that you needed the default case, or it wouldn't compile, but I will double check that. So thanks everyone for watching. If you haven't already and you're interested in getting stream notifications, go ahead and hit that follow button. I appreciate it, and I will catch you next stream. So everyone have a good night.